Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bar Run Farm and Forge. And make sure I got that right. Bar Run Farm and Forge. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Great to have you guys in here. I have to check to see that the picture is right, but I'll check that real quick. Yeah, that would do just fine. Anywho, well, we're going to have as it was in the description, a little bit of a sit and chat tonight. Tonight is it's going to be special, and I'll describe what's going on. But let me start by saying hello to everybody. Eric at Pumpkin Patch Forge and Ironworks, Mr. Kyle Jones, Daniel the Baca Maker, Plywood is in here. Great to have you in here, Mr. Lawnus, Robert, Bobby Lawnus, the Treadle Shed. Great to have you in here. I don't know if I've missed anybody so far. Hopefully I'll catch you up in there. Come in. Toledo Creations, what's up? Great to have you in here. You guys need to check him out. He does some really cool stuff. Great maker, and just really appreciate him as well. So go check that out, as well as all the other channels that ever come on up here. So tonight is going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about projects that are going on here, and as you can see, there's a picture in here, and Mr. Jeff Killian is in here. He stopped in to say hi. Granddaughter's field hockey game. Well, that's a lot of fun to watch, and I mean that. Field hockey's crazy sometimes. Got to see Olympic level field hockey. That's fun. Anyway, we'll explain the gentleman there in the top corner here in just a minute. Got some stuff going on here in the shop. We've got hay down in 3 different places, and we're fighting off rain as it is, so hopefully it doesn't get completely ruined. That's the hope. There's a lot of effort, a lot of money sitting out there in the field. I talked to someone not too long ago. They were asking, I think it was during tax time anyway, I said, do you have any gambling debts to report? And I said, well, lots of farm equipment. Does that count? We always said that farming is legalized gambling anyway. So anyway, we got that down. Is it warm here? Yes, it's. Here's the thing. The heat now does what it does in Ohio. I'm sure it does in other places as well. I know we're not immune to it. So you will have heat, there'll be rain, there'll be heat, and the rain and the heat causes rain and heat and humidity. So if you go outside and work for any time at all and do anything out there for any time at all right now, and we're just in like the 90 area, 90 to 93, it's just, there are days where I take 3 or 4 shirts with me everywhere I go because I was soaking, and it's just miserable, and it'll wear you out. And this past week I've had a little bit, I don't know whether I've had a stomach bug or I may have pushed a little too hard in the heat a little bit, but it's whatever it is kind of wiped me out. But the work doesn't stop, so there it is. I used to say I did my ministry internship in Mobile, Alabama, and if you've ever been in the deep South, like close to the Gulf, in the swamps, the bayous, you understand why you see people just sitting on the porch, not doing anything. It's because they're worried that air is going to touch them, and it's miserable. Now, granted, I'd rather go out and sweat than freeze, because I can live in air conditioning. I can cool off. I can spray water on my face or splash my head with water or whatever. Once I'm cold, I'm cold. I've got a pretty high tolerance for both, but once I'm cold, I'm cold. And it takes a lot for me just to get overheated, so to speak. Anyway, we'll talk about that. But we are warm here. We've got kind of took a risk on cutting some hay, and because it's way behind the rain, the weather, it puts way behind. I did have 4 or 5 solid days of really good heat, but we were baling straw, which was a bigger undertaking than any of the hay that I would have done. So one right after the other, and if I get this hay done, we're already into, well, that's second cutting alfalfa, so we're already into second cutting into some of the other stuff. And some of the stuff hasn't even been cut first cutting yet. And we're July 10th. So it's been a really kind of a crazy year for that. But we'll get through it. We'll get there. This is wet diaper days. If I was wearing a diaper, it'd be wet. Maybe you're talking about me. I don't know. So anyway, we got the quill about 85% ready to go for the inkwell. And I did a little bit of cleanup on the rim of the inkwell. And I've really kind of been debating cutting the curlicue part off and putting this on a bowl, or not a bowl, but a dish, and like a plate, and having it a bit more stable. I like the look of the curlicue spirally thing, so I don't know yet. I don't know whether I'm going to take that out and redo that or not. But then we'll be able to start once I get the quill completely done, which all I have to do on it is I have to do these stems, or whatever you call them right here, kind of shape them out, let them fall down a little bit, and just the quill in up there. And that is ready to go. Clean it up, put the forge finish on it. Say hello to Ray and Sandy's Woodworking. I'm not sure which one of you is here, but hello Ray or hello Sandy. And Mr. Bill Wheel says shalom all. Great to have Bill Wheel in here. I'm not sure how many we've got right now. Eli is at a Cincinnati Reds baseball game tonight. So we'll be missing him. Hopefully get things settled down. We are working on his house. I kind of got paused with all the hay work and other stuff. And on top of all that, we got a hold of an above ground pool, which means I have to disassemble it in all this heat by myself. Disassemble it, pack it all up, bring it back here, and we just tore down one of our grain bins, and we're putting the pool on the grain bin pad. And it seems to be working out pretty good. So I think I've got everything all lined up. I got to finish some plumbing and some wiring for the pump, and it's ready to fill. We've got some water in it already just to kind of make the liner set right. So hopefully I did that all correctly and we don't have an absolute mess. don't do that, Bobby. I'm certainly not Superman. I'm dumb enough to take on more than I probably should have. But anyway. And then somebody knowing. Oh, Mom says she's watching tonight, so everybody say hello to Mamaw. M-A-M-A-W. Hello, Mamaw. She is watching from her palatial estate. And say hello to her. So what we're going to do tonight, talking about the pool and all the other stuff that's going on, getting ready for my mother-in-law's 80th birthday party Saturday. A pool for the gathering. Now, if we have warm enough weather for the gathering, for the pool to be open, that may make me a pretty happy guy. So if the pool's open by the time of the gathering, that'd be a good April, a very good April. Made a pool out of an IBC tote. Well, I've done a lot of things with IBC totes. The pool is not one of them. Maybe a hot tub or something. I don't know. But anyway, thanks, Tommy. Right back at you. Right back at you. And everybody saying hello to Memo. So, if you guys have noticed, we have a picture right up here in the corner, and I'm not forging the one. Two reasons for that. Number one, I'm wore out and hot, a bit hot. Even though it is air conditioning, I got a fan blowing in here. It's not as hot as some other people's shops, but they stay doing it tonight. I did do some work on the ink well, and I still have to clean up a little area right in there where the forge well is a little thick, kind of overlapped a little bit. But other than that's pretty close to where I want it to be. The gentleman that you see up in the corner of there is our friend Mr. Mike Pasquale, and Mike passed away Sunday. Uh, Mike, it was kind of an interesting thing. I'll start with this. Mike was the guy who introduced me or got me started. Kind of shoved the hammer in my hand and got me going into blacksmithing. So I don't know that I would call Mike my blacksmithing mentor, but he was definitely the guy who just kind of pushed the button a little bit to get me going in blacksmithing. And if you haven't heard the story, so we were at the Ohio Valley Antique Machinery Show, which we'll be at next month, less than a month from now. Doesn't seem right. Which will be coming up on 6 years for me working as in the blacksmithing. And I was at the machinery show, and I always was intrigued by blacksmithing. And I walked up to their blacksmith shop, and his booth or his spot at the machinery show, which is where I work at now when I'm there, was right around the corner. I was I could see what he was doing, but I couldn't quite see what he was doing. And he was working on something. I didn't tell you what he was working on. I said, "Hey, can I see what you're doing a little closer?" He said, "Yeah, sure." So I was kind of anxious. I thought, "Wow, this is kind of crazy." He's inviting me into the blacksmith shop. I thought that was a hands-off, stay back from the situation. There was a metal folding chair, and I sat down in the folding chair. I watched what he was doing, just enamored by it. And 5 minutes into it, maybe 10 at the most, of me sitting down watching what he was doing, Mike had this kind of rough, gravelly voice, and he just looked up at me. And I didn't hardly know the guy, and I've known him for, at that point, 5 minutes. And he said, "Well, you don't swing the hammer or not?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." So he handed me this hammer. This hammer right here. It's the one he had in his hand. And he gave me a piece of steel. He pointed me towards the forge, and gave me a few little tips and pointers to do. But basically, he said, "Get it hot and hit it, and we'll go from there." And so I did. You're right with me, Kyle. We're going to get there. So I did, and from the moment I swung this hammer right here, from the moment I swung it, I was had. I was in it. There's no question in my mind. I wanted to do this, at the very least as a hobby. And I worked. That was about around lunchtime, maybe before, because I got there first thing in the morning. I went and looked at all the tractors and all that stuff, and I migrated over to the blacksmith shop, and I stayed there the rest of the afternoon until evening. So I was there for probably 6 or 7 hours. And at the end of the day, he said, "Now, you coming back tomorrow?" I said, "Well, yeah, I'll be here." I had a tractor there, the machinery show, the antique tractor show. And he said, "No, you're coming back here tomorrow to work." I said, "Yeah, I could probably do that." And he basically kind of got rough with me. He said, "No, if you don't, I'm going to be," and he said, "Where we're kicked off." And I said, "Okay." So I showed up the next morning, and he was going to work, so he took his hammer back. He handed me another hammer that he has still over in the bucket over there, and pushed me to another anvil right beside his. And in between he and Mike Salisbury, and Mike's been here for the gathering and such, and off we went. I started trying to make stuff, and we made a few. He and I made a project or two together, so we could get an idea of what we were doing. And all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, I gotta go somewhere. I'll be back in a little bit." This was like me 8 hours into my blacksmithing journey, and Mike Salisbury had just left to go do something for the show. He had something to do. He does Civil War reenactment and stuff. So all of a sudden, I was the only guy in the blacksmith shop, and I had been doing this for like 8 hours. And I thought, okay, well, they're here to see somebody work in the blacksmith shop, and I made a tapered, pointy thing with a twist and a loop on the end while they were there watching me. And I thought, okay, I can do this. This is something I can do. And I worked all day in the almost the blacksmith baptism. That's right. Uh, yeah, the old baptism by fire. That literally was it. I didn't know how to maintain a coal forge. I didn't know any of that stuff. I tried to be aware of what I'd seen and try to go from there. And for day three, it was just like there was an expectation that I would be there for day three. And so I was. And then I had to explain to my wife, like, she said, "Well, why are you there all day long at the show?" And I explained it to her. And that really started it off for me. I mean, I'll tell you this right now, guys. It's very plain. The gathering, the channel, what you see here, and the shop back there, 99% would not exist if it were not for Mike Pasquale saying, "Yeah, come on in, come see the trade, come see the craft that I'm engaged in, and enjoy it," and then to say, "Try it, do it." Not would you or want to, just come here, let's do this thing. And if that had not been the case, I'd have probably just watched for a little bit, drifted on by the blacksmith shop, and going about my business, and stuck with antique tractors and other stuff, and that would have been the case. Now, I'm sure some people said, "Man, I wish he could just kept on going, or Mike Pasquale to keep his mouth shut," because now you got me in this situation. No, I'm not going in that slack though. Uh, maybe if we had 100,000 subs, I'll take a dip in the slack tub. Uh, I don't know. We'll see. But so this evening we're going to talk about a few things, but I wanted to really just do a full-on tribute to my friend and the guy who got me started. From that point, uh, Mike, not just, "Hey, I'll see you next year at the blacksmith show." We exchanged numbers. He said, "Hey, how would you like to?" And then we did something together. "Hey, why don't you come over to the house?" And then, we got talking about me being a minister. I was a minister of a Church of Christ, Christian church, and Mike was a devout Catholic, very heavily professed Catholic, to put it that way. And so he would call me at 10:30, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whenever. Say, "Hey, I was reading," and he'd be reading a piece of scripture. And sometimes not even, sometimes it was an apocryphal scripture. And he would call me up and say, "Tell me what you think about this." And so he had this great trust in me to talk about theological and spiritual things. And he said, "I don't just call anybody." Right? So we gained the blacksmithing connection. We gained a spiritual uh, Christian connection, a brotherly connection in that way, and we became friends. And Mike was not uh, everybody's cup of tea, as they say. Mike had his own little quirks about things, and just one of the most well-intended individuals we would ever meet. Just not only great on the executional side of things. But I won't dwell on that. Mike, Mike was a good friend to me. He really was. He was a good friend to me. And there were occasions where we would go weeks, a couple months, maybe a month, without talking to each other, not for any other reason other than he got busy, I got busy, and we lived about 45 minutes apart. But we talked a lot on the phone. Mr. Roger Caldwell is in here, another dear friend of mine. So Mike and I would talk a lot on the phone. We got together. We would uh, experience pew-pews, if I would say that. And he called me up one day and he said, "Hey, I got a Gatling pew-pew. You want to come use it?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he got a replica of a Gatling pew-pew, and we went over and fired the heck out of that thing. And we tore up a good burn barrel in short order, and shoot track and things like that. Uh, and then one day, uh, my 50th birthday party was coming up. Some of you guys remember that. We were having it at the church, and he kept calling me. He says, "Hey, I got something for you for your birthday." He said, "I hope it's the right size." And he kept saying, "I hope it's the right size. I hope it's the right size." So I'm opening my birthday presents and all kinds of stuff. People just being so kind to me. And I see this box, and wrapped up in a man, that looks a lot like a Glock case. I opened it up, and sure enough, it was a 10 millimeter, 10 mil Glock. And so I'm like, wow, just there were times when he was so extremely generous. One of the great stories about Mike was he had a neighbor that was Mennonite, and they were always connected with each other. The Mennonites would do some work for him, and he would do some things for them. The Mennonite guy had some younger kids, and there's Bobby at Dogbone and Roger Caldwell. You guys were not late. We're just sharing a story about my recently deceased friend here, Mike Pasquale, the guy who got me started at blacksmithing. So we'll share about him and a couple other things as we go through the evening. But he bought this like $3,000 or $4,000 play set, sunset kind of thing for the kids. And he did this extremely generous thing to this family, having it shipped in, having it assembled, all this kind of stuff. Well, it didn't show up when it was supposed to show up, and they had people there to assemble it and put it together, and he paid for all that, and they weren't there. So he just called and absolutely destroyed the people he bought it from, just tearing them a new one over the whole situation, while doing the most kind, generous thing. And but that was Mike. But as I said, my mom told me, he was a good friend. He was. He was a good friend to me. Uh, you know, Other people may have had an issue with him. I'm sure other people got issue with me. Uh, but he and I were good friends, and I will miss Mike. There's no question about it. I will miss Mike. So it's an interesting thing. Mike passes away shortly before the machinery show, and you just got through talking, and I'll tell you what he passed away for a couple reasons. Mike was diabetic and did not take good care of himself, and he lived alone. Uh, and he didn't take good care of his diabetes, and he got an infection in his foot. A couple of years ago, they had to take one of his toes because he let it get infected really bad and got septic. And So this past year, over the last month, the same thing happened. The problem is he went way too far, and he got sepsis. They wanted to take his leg below the knee. He would not permit it. He talked them into taking part of his foot, and so this Todd Lajeunesse is here. Hey Todd. So I talked to him Thursday or Friday, and he said, "Hey, when I get home from the hospital, uh, could I talk you into making a railing?" He said, "I'm now with a toe off one foot, part of my other foot gone." He said, "I'm going to need a railing. I'm going to need a way to get up and out of my house and still keep going." And I said, "Sure, buddy. Give me a call when you get back from the hospital. I'll come over. I'll get measurements, and we'll get you a railing put up with his foot and make it nice for you." And so I was planning on actually going Monday, and so Sunday afternoon, it was Friday afternoon. He said he planned on getting out that day or next day or so. So Saturday, I got tied up, didn't call him, and then Sunday, like I often do, I sent him a text and I said, "Hey, did you get home from the hospital?" Didn't hear anything, didn't hear anything. No news, no news, no news. And I got a message, an email, from a person I didn't even know. It said, "Hey, I know you were friends with Mike. I just wanted to let you know he passed away today." And so I was just, what? We talked to him Friday. We were making plans to make railing, and he was planning on getting home. I sent him a message today, and so he had passed away Sunday. So first thing we'll say is we're going to start with one thing. We'll do a tribute to Mike. We've got our area over there for our good buddy Frank, and Mike's anvil has been in here in the shop. He didn't have a shop, but he loved doing the blacksmithing. And he said, "Let me just keep all my stuff at your shop, and when I'm ready to do smithing, I'll just come see you and we'll smith together." So all his stuff, probably 90% of his blacksmithing stuff, has been here in our shop for the last 5 years, at least 5 years. And so anyway, but tonight I'm going to dig out his anvil and his hammer and his platform stand for his anvil. And for some of you know, he was so proud of this anvil. Peter Wright, he was so proud of this anvil. And he used to brag to you guys that have been here to the gathering and other people. That anvil, he said, rings like a church bell. And he just loved the fact that it rang like a church bell. And everybody could come hear the blacksmith. And he was all excited about that. And it became a little bit of a wink, to the rest of us. And I think Kyle already said it rings like a church bell one time. So we're not going over to Dad's bell tonight. We're going to do our memorial ring on Mike's anvil with Mike's hammer and let that church bell ring tonight for a moment. So let's take a little bit of time and we're going to do a little memorial for our buddy Mike Pasquale, the guy that got me started blacksmithing, who passed away on Sunday. So let's take that time. All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll miss Mike, but unless something happens with his wishes and stuff, I'm assuming that his stuff, or anybody even knows it's here, for that matter. So I would assume his stuff stays here. Not that it's not important. It's cherished, and I treasure this piece right here. And anything else that belonged to Mike would be very special. Yeah, he would have loved that. He probably, go ahead and hit it. I don't know what he would have done, but he probably would have fussed at me about how I did that. Uh, there he is, tribute to our buddy Mike Pasquale. So it's an interesting thing. Over the last few years, we've talked about our buddy Frank Strock, and Frank passed away of cancer. Uh, but down at the High Valley Antique Machinery Show, uh, it's been a kind of a rough 3 years or so. And for those of you who've been to uh, Quad State, a name might have been thrown around up there by the name of Bob Crookshanks. There's Kenny and Metal Man. Thank you, brother. Thank you. And yeah, we'll probably have to make a little spot for Mike. Who knows? Who knows what we'll do? But you'll know that Mike is here in the shop. And but anyway, Mr. Bob Crookshanks was kind of a stalwart in the Quad State sofa community, and Bob was hardcore down at the High Valley Antique Machinery Show. We call it OBAN. He was hardcore down there, and he was the guy who kind of pushed guys like Mike. He would come down and train them and talk to them, and trust me, Bob Crookshanks was the guy. I got to meet Bob and do a little bit of work with Bob. Bob was hardcore. You did not mess around. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do as far as a tribute to Mike, but like I said, his presence will be made known. This hammer will probably find a prominent place or something like that. But Bob got sick and he passed away. So down at the machinery show, we were like, man, Bob Crookshanks passed away. Like one of the old guard of blacksmithing, as far as we were concerned, the old guard of blacksmithing. And you talk to like Roy, would probably know Bob Crookshanks, and a couple of other of the big guys. So Bob passes away. Well, there's a void. And then the following year, I think it was, the guy who kind of was the overseer of the blacksmith shop down at the machinery show, Elmer Pringle, Elmer passed away. And so we're like, man, 2 years in a row, these guys are leaving us, And so we're like, wow, what are we going to do? And we had made some changes to the shop. The two of them would have pitched a royal flip over. But it happens. We made some changes to the shop, some changes that Mike was trying to implement for years, and these two guys wouldn't let that happen. We got the changes to happen, and Mike wasn't feeling well, so he didn't get to be there. He got to see some of it, but the things that he kind of pushed for years, we got. And so then this year, now we walked into the machinery show, and there's no Bob Crookshanks, no Elmer, now with Mike. And so it is one of those things where you can very easily kind of throw up your hands and go, well, now what do? Well, we've kind of already made provision because we really pushed ourselves and got to try to get ourselves in a position to say, okay, if this is a worthwhile venture, blacksmithing and promoting the craft of blacksmithing, we've got to pass it down. And I think it's such a blessing to hear about all the young guns, Chain Gang, and all those guys. We would say Alex Steele, so many that have taken on the craft. I mean, there's talented young smiths out there, and we have to do the same thing to them, which now they're kind of the stalwarts. They're getting to be the experts in the craft. The same thing that Mike did and that Bob did and Elmer did is when somebody wants to do this craft, to take on this craft, bring them in. show them. Now, at the same time, they were tough. They were tough on us. It wasn't, oh, it's okay, that looks fantastic. They weren't afraid to say, hey, that looks like crap. You need to redo, throw that away, redo that again, or cut that off and make another one. Okay, now make 30 more of those. And so for me, it's not just the blacksmithing at this point. I look at what has happened, like in my life. Uh, in 2016, my grandpa passes away at 94, and it was one of those where I thought, well, he's always going to be there. Been there for 94 years, been there my whole life. My kids know him and knew him. They had intimate knowledge of him, and friends, and real, anyway. So he passes away. Wow, that's really, really rough. Uh, and then the following year, my dad passes away. And then, just on down the line. And I think, you know, there are people that you and I, and if you're older, you still know who those people are, or something has happened. There are people you're like, hey, I need to call them, or I need to go over and see them because they know how to do this thing, or they'll have the wisdom or the knowledge that I need for this thing. And we have to realize that at some point in time, they won't be there. I know that there have been times where I've been working on the farm or working in here, something like that, and I'm thinking to myself, I need to ask my dad. I can't do that. I can't ask you. Hi, Jeff Woodring. How are you? Good afternoon. It's kind of a sit and chat. We're talking about some very special people in our lives. Uh, so, and I don't want this to be a whole dark thing. I want it to be a piece of encouragement. Uh, I want you to catch from what we do here this evening to be a piece of encouragement for you, because you're going to fall into some categories, okay? You're going to fall into the category of I'm dependent upon the knowledge and the experience and the wisdom of A, B, and C, whoever they are. Or you're going to fall into the category of I've been depending on that, and now it's not there, and I got to figure this out on my own. Or you've come to the realization that you're now the one they depend on. And the humbling, I say this very, very, listen to what I'm saying. I'm finding myself in the position of I'm the one getting the phone calls now. Not because I don't claim to have the wisdom, I don't claim to have the experience, but those stalwarts, those people who everyone depended upon for so long, for that wisdom, for that knowledge, for that experience, are leaving us. And so we kind of what they told us to do. That's the key, and this is the encouragement. These guys that were tough on us, like Mike and Bob and Norman and my dad and my grandpa, uh, they're tough on us because they knew at some point in time, I'm not going to be here to answer all those questions. I'm not going to be here to do all those things for you. And so I think to a certain extent, we got to be careful we haven't done a disservice to the generation behind us by just throwing up our hands at them and that kind of thing. Because it's easy to do. It's easy to look at the previous generation behind us and go, what's the matter with them? The fact of the matter is, there are loads among the generation behind and Eli's generation before, beyond, killing it. They're killing it. And despite our lack of efforts, despite our decision to do for them, to help them along, to teach them, and on occasion be tough on them. Uh, and I find myself now, like with Eli, I showed Eli a lot of stuff growing up, both my kids. Uh, and and then when Justin came along, I tried to show Justin as many things I possibly could. But I've also failed in that there are times where I was so anxious about getting the thing done that I didn't stop long enough to let them do it and fail at it, and then do it again. So my encouragement to you is this: don't be the curmudgeon, don't be the grump who dismisses those who don't have the knowledge and experience. Not only just younger people, they don't have the knowledge and experience. They don't have the great wisdom. First of all, don't pretend that you do, because you don't. But just be prepared to, to learn and grow alongside people and encourage them, lift them up. You know, look, you want to. And I'm not. This is not talking about being remembered. Gosh, I hate to even say this. You want to die alone? Be a grump. Be a mean old grump who doesn't want anything to do with anybody, and you'll die alone, and you'll die lonely. There's a big difference between alone and lonely. And nobody will do that. Nobody will care. And that's not the way God designed us to be. God designed us to be an encouragement to others, to lift others up, to love on people, and to be remembered in that way. Yeah, and Bill, that's such an easy thing to say. They have no clue what hard times, hard work, and stand with is. And the fact of the matter is, nobody, nobody on this list and nobody in this chair knows that either. No, I'm just gonna be flat out honest. Not one person, and I know everybody's been through their own life situations. But if you put all of our life situations in perspective, no matter what you've been through, I promise you, somebody's been through more. Somebody's been through harder times, they've done harder work, and they have more stamina than we do. It's just, it's true. You know, we were looking at some letters that we have. Somebody who's living in this area, I may have shared this, but she was writing letters to her husband who was off working. Hi, Eric, how are you? He was off working some distance away. We don't even know where. And then, you know how they would write letters back and forth to each other. Just these eloquent, very well written letters. And she was telling him how everything's going well. Only 4 of the 12 kids had died of typhoid, or whatever, whatever. And, and she said, the only real problem we're having is keeping the wolves out of the house. Keeping the wolves out of the house. Here, in Ohio. Right here, right around here. They lived in a 3-sided wood shack, shed, building, house, whatever you want to call it, with a canvas front on it. Everything was going great. Everything's good, except for keeping the wolves out of the house. So every time I hear, a housewife, well, the dishwasher's been down, or, blah, 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 I'm like, I don't have wolves in the house. You don't have wolves in the house. Oh, well, I had to do this and that thing, and I had to run the weed eater yesterday. Weed eater? How about mowing all your crops with a hand scythe? You don't have wolves in the house. So, we don't. So, is it okay? We talk about induction courses. Is it okay to learn on the new things, the new techniques? We talked about this before. If blacksmiths from the 17 and 1800s had an electric welder, they'd use it. If it increased their productivity and their usefulness, they'd use it. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is being such a curmudgeon about it to say, and you young people, I swung a hammer all day long, blah, 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 and you just don't know. Okay, but what if I could hand you the machine or the piece of equipment or the simple tool that would make that easier? So, there you go. what I'm saying is, how about we be encouraging? How about we take on the positive role? I know I've met the majority of you on this list right here, and you guys carry a lot of skills, a lot of abilities, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. It'd be so easy just to go, yeah, that's mine. Learn it on your own, or have somebody years from now look back and go, man, that guy, that lady, man, they took the time, they poured energy into me, they passed along their knowledge, their craft, all of that stuff. They passed that along, and I'm so grateful for that. Or the other response to that is, well, I tried learning it from that guy, and he just slept me off and treated me like crap and was always tearing me down. There you go. That's what you're going to get. There'll be nobody at the end. So, has technology spoiled us? Some of it, yeah. Yeah. The gentleman in the corner there is a gentleman by the name of Mike Pasquale. He's the guy who got me started in blacksmithing. Literally got me started in blacksmithing, and he passed away on Sunday. So we're talking about that. And the reason why I bring all that up is, like my dad, my grandpa, all these blacksmith guys. Uh, I've shared this before about a guy by the name of Noah in the Bible. And if you look at Noah, if you go to Genesis, um, and you look at his family heritage, it lists, and I think Exodus chapter 5. Anyway, uh, Genesis chapter 5. Anyway, it lists the generations, and thank you, Eric, I appreciate that. The generations from Noah down and forward. And if you look at Noah's father, grandfather, and great grandfather, holy cow. I mean, within that group, you had the oldest man, Methuselah. You had, uh, beyond him, was Jared, who was number two, Lamech, who lived in the 900s, and Enoch, who had such a close relationship with God that just simply said Enoch walked with God and then was no more. And Noah was found to be the only righteous man left on the planet, on the entire planet. He was the only one left to be found righteous. So God saw fit to let him survive the flood. And if you look back, you think that didn't happen by accident. Somewhere along the line, somebody had to instruct him about the relationship with God. They had to tell him about what to do, about how to be a righteous man, a godly man. And so that's not coincidence. So here's what I should say. That's really cool, Roger. Really, really cool. And Bobby says, I welcome any of those people. Nice. That's what we do here. We got school groups that come in and different kinds of things. I'm not a teacher of blacksmithing. I wanted to show people blacksmithing because it's such an amazing thing. So I don't feel qualified to teach blacksmithing, but I do feel qualified and need to show people blacksmithing and how cool it is, and then take it from there because I don't have the knowledge or the skill to teach anybody the craft. But anyway, so let's think about this. You may not be Noah, okay? You may not be the one to be the standard, to be the one that everybody goes back to. Because everybody knows about Noah and the flood and all kinds of stuff. But not too many people know about Lamech. Not many people know about Jared. And we only know Methuselah. He's the oldest man to ever live, 969 years. That's all we know. But we know all about Noah. We know all these things about Noah. So you may not be Noah. You may not be the one that everybody remembers, but you can train, you can talk to, you can encourage the one that everybody will remember. And it's so worth it. My great grandfather, who unfortunately I never had to meet, Oscar Roush, was an elder at the little church here in Hollandtown, up in Parkland, where my grandpa grew up. And they're one of the preachers, first time preacher, right out of Bible college, was a guy named Ed Bowser. And Ed, after leaving Hollandtown, went into a couple located ministries and then started radio ministry that went on for like over 60 years. And it was on WLW, the big one in Cincinnati, the big radio station, every Sunday morning, twice. He was in 100 countries every week. And he started the little church down here in Hollandtown. And at the end, they had a big tribute to him before he passed away. And they asked him who his three most influential people were in his life, who had the biggest impact on his ministry in his life. And he listed two, a college professor, a Bible college professor, a mentor in ministry, another minister, my great-grandfather, who had no better than an 8th grade education or in sawmill. But he was an elder at the church and mentored and loved on this young minister right out of Bible college. And after 60-some years, 70-some years of ministry, impact on thousands and thousands of people to preach the gospel, the guy that he brought up in his mind was my great-grandpa, who was called sawmill operator with an 8th grade education. Nobody knows Oscar Ratch. I guarantee you that nobody, well, not nobody, but the huge majority of people who have ever listened to Ed Bowser have no idea who Oscar Ratch is. But his impact was huge. So the question is, are you Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, are you those guys influencing the next generation to be great? Or are you the one snubbing everybody? You know, it's 7:20 right now. Let's say you're talking about this kind of stuff. Here's what I would like to encourage you to do this week. 2 things. Number 1, be an encouragement. Find one person this week. And if you're an encourager, God bless you. But be very intentional this week to find someone to encourage. And I don't mean just walk by somebody and go, hey, waiter at the restaurant, good job, way to go. That's not encouragement. It'll help. Do those things. Just do those things everywhere you go. If you see somebody out doing a job, hey, have a great day. Thank you for what you do. Well, just do those kinds of things. And the other thing I would encourage you to do, think about your Bob Cruikshanks, Elmer Pringles, Mike Pasquale's, Papal, Dad. Think about those, Ed Bowser. Think about those types of people in your life who are still around. Call them, or even better, go see them. Just do it. Find time in your day, in your week. It's one of the things I've tried to do and I failed at multiple times. There'll be somebody who I haven't talked to in a while, and just they'll get on my heart, and I'll say, you know what, I haven't talked to them in a while, and I probably shouldn't, but I start my text or my phone call with, hey, bad friend alert, and others would say, well, he had to call me, she never texts me, she never calls me. Is that the dependence? I talked to Mike on Friday, Thursday or Friday, and planned on going there Monday. When I talked to him, he sounded like, hey, I'm headed home to the hospital. Sunday, I find out he passed. Get a hold of these people. Get in touch with those people. You've got people in your life. And I've got people right now on my brain, and I'm like, okay, I gotta cool down for a minute and get a hold of these people and talk to them and thank them. I've got a letter that I need to send to a couple, a family that is literally like another mom and a dad to me, and I need to get it done and send it to them because it's a very important thing. Eric says 5 years ago when I worked as a certified tech, especially all the tech. So yeah, man, that's my encouragement to you guys is don't let time go by. Don't let time go by. Connect with people who you have no idea what encouragement that would be to people. If they haven't heard from you in a while, and you haven't heard from them, I'm telling you right now, there's a whole list of people that I got a phone call from them tomorrow. It would make my month. It would make my year. Yeah, I see that now, Daniel. Uh, yeah, Eric says just got to find a way. Perhaps some kind of field trip to local school. That's that. When they called me from the school, I said, please bring them by, and be encouraging to them as well. But again, don't be afraid to be tough either. Because at some point in time, they got to be the ones doing it too. So remember those. Think about those people in your life. Like, man, I have got to call them. I've got to go see them. I just got to do it. Set the time aside. You do what you want to do. What you set time aside to do it. Secondly is encourage people. Even people you don't know. It's really kind of an interesting thing when Michelle grew up in the city in Cincinnati, and when she moved out here, I mean, to the farm, down to the country, we would travel around and somebody would go by somebody and I'd wave. She'd say, "Who was that?" I don't know. So you just wave to them? Yeah. That's it right there. Yeah. And the next time they see your car or your truck, they'll wave to you again. And then they'll expect a wave. It's such a crazy thing to think that you go out in public right now and you hold the door open. There's a group of people who are just they'll either go by you or they'll look mean at you or they might say, "Hey, well, thank you." They just either expect it, don't want it, or whatever, and you think, "Wow, how far have we gotten as people?" And it comes down to that. It comes down to the idea that we're not kind to people, we're not encouraging to people enough, and we don't connect with people. We can't blame it on technology. We can't blame it on anything else other than people. And we're people, so we gotta be better. Be better. I think Eli had a coach who said that a couple times. He didn't know what else to do, so he just said, "Be better." So be better. Yeah, setting up a bill might be a little interesting as far as doing demos out there. So yeah, I mean, and even there, maybe I know some people who come here as a sanctuary. And sanctuary literally means a place set aside for a purpose. And when I say that, people will come here and find a seat, never smith, never swing a hammer, never do anything, but they find solace in the place. Be that place. Be that place. Don't blame it on anything else. Don't point to anybody else. You be change. You be the different person in that, and people will notice it. If you're the person who is encouraging to others, if you're the person, I don't care about all the other stuff. I don't care about all the other obstacles. You can overcome it just by being different, by being set aside, by being set apart. That's your job. Or go be a curmudgeon, or be a curmudgeon somewhere else. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. I can't take negativity. I can't take everybody being critical of everybody else and everything else. I just can't take that. And I won't. You come in in my area, in my place, in my life, and all you're doing is criticizing others, criticizing me, and you're negative about everything, I'll either remove you or remove me. I don't want any part of it. I just don't. There's too much going on in the world for us to focus on that. And I'm too stupid blessed to be caught up in all that garbage. And I'm sitting here thinking about my friend not here with us anymore. Thinking about Bob Crookshanks and Elmer Pringle, my dad, my grandpa, a bunch of other people in my life, and they're not here anymore. So obviously, I don't want to be left with a bunch of people who are going to do nothing but complain and grumble about all kinds of stuff. In the scripture, even says, "Do everything without grumbling and complaining." There you go. So was that was a full-on choice tirade with it? That's me complaining, I guess. My life is busy, crazy, got my own stuff going on in my life, but I'm blessed. I'm blessed beyond measure, man. I'm so blessed. And we got to name it. We got to talk about it. We got to do things that are blessings to us and blessings to others. So there you go. 7:30. We hit it for an hour. We hit it for an hour. So anyway, what I would encourage you to do, we'll spend a little bit more time here chatting for a little bit. Uh, share with me, share with us your stories of, like how you got. Now go get your skin cancer taken care of, Troy. Yeah, I do have that coming up. They have found a second round of cancer on me, so I got to go get that taken care of on the 30th. Means probably only like a week that I won't be able to smith or do much of that heavier stuff. It's on my left hand, so it's not as big a deal. Left arm won't be near what last year's surgery was, so this will be a lot quicker recovery for that. All right, so I do have a question. We'll get back to some blacksmithing stuff. You guys tell me. Yes, am wearing some more long sleeves. I've got some of those UV shirts. But anyway, I do put sunscreen on a lot. This curly cue on the bottom. I'm thinking about switching over to a full-on like a dish, like a saucer almost, or kind of a whimsical curly swirly cue there. I don't know. I'm trying to decide what to do with that. I kind of like it, but it doesn't. It may not be fitting for a field desk. I don't know. So here's what I'd like for you to do. Well, just think it's 287 days till the gathering. How about that? Did you do the calculation, or did something do the calculation for you? Either way, I'm impressed. I guess. Okay. Uh, yeah, it's a little bottom heavy, so keep things spillage short. So tell me about in our remaining time. Tell me about your not necessarily your mentors, but uh, those people who you kind of look back on fondly and go, that was my source for wisdom and experience, and either it's not there anymore, they've passed, or I got to give them a call. I got to go see them. Got to do it. And that's the only reason why I was thinking about the saucer type thing is for balance, stability, and spillage. Not that it's going to be used as an inkwell, but Kitty says, "I got a new grinder." That's great. Kitty says, "Enough of this chit chat, all this kind of stuff, man. I got a new grinder." That's awesome. Send me pictures, Kenny. Send me pictures, please, because I want to see it. John from Brittinghammer Ford says, "What's up, guys? Can't stay long, but wanted to say hello." Hello, how are you, brother? We're in memory of this guy right here, Mr. Mike Pasquale, who passed away on Sunday. Mr. Pete Fields is in here. Uh, and so we're talking about people who have been a great influence or have been an encouragement to us or kind of sent us in a different direction, even if things they've kind of been tough on us. Uh, and just, good friends that we need to really look at for a source of learning, encouragement, wisdom, whatever it is. Dave says his mother is the source to look for that. Okay. Very cool. So yeah, share with me those people who kind of have had that kind of great influence on your life, or people you look back on and you think, man, I either need to call them or I wish I could call them, and why. Even if you need to share it in the comments afterward, or send me a text or call me or whatever. Yeah, and Kenny, I understand that. It's. I think this is why things like the gathering are so important, because we can easily just crawl into ourselves and never really, this is an amazing thing. I know other things do it, but to me, blacksmithing is one of those things where you got hot steel, metal, anvils, hammers, everything flying around here. Kind of cuts everything loose. To me, it's just like if you can do this with everybody around, you can do about anything, and it kind of breaks down a lot of barriers. And really, I can't tell you, Kenny, what that. It's the whole purpose. I've got to be honest with you. What Kenny just said, no man, is the sole purpose of the gathering. Right there. Um, Without that, to me, go to another conference. Go to some learning event or smithing or something else. But the gathering is different. That's why we don't call it a hammer in. We don't call it anything like that. It's the gathering, and that's exactly why we do what we do. And you nailed it. Thank you. That got to be good. Yeah, and Bill says the people he lets in sometimes are they do tend to let you down, and you got to be aware of that. Guess what? Uh, I told the church that I minister at 11 years ago, 11 and a half years ago. I said, look, here's the deal. At some point in time, I will fail you. At some point in time, I told them, I will fail you. Don't get cocky. You'll fail me too. The difference is, how do we respond to each other when we fail each other? And that's what makes all the difference. You go in knowing, you don't have to say, well, I'm going to let this person in because I'm not, just because people let me down. Then nobody ever gets in, you never get to experience any of that. You just bypass all of what God could do in your lives. So don't be afraid of that. Don't let that dictate. Yeah, very cool. Jeff says two different sort of people. It's true. You know by the company you keep, so you keep different company. Eric says, my papa taught me to hunt, fish, forage, what a work day means, keep my word, be honest, love the Lord my God. Can't get much better than that. Can't get much better than that. You got a good papa then. You got a good papa. That's a great mentor. Eric says careful, careful. uh, Bobby says all my inspiration came from YouTube channels in this community. I don't know any blacksmiths here. I'm just talking about in Connecticut. John says, I'll be in Ohio towards the end of the month. I'm going to drive down to Kentucky to see the Noah's Ark. Well, you will be probably under an hour from here. And it would be an absolute honor and a pleasure to meet with you. I don't know when exactly that will be. I have church camp. My week at church camp is July 20th to the 24th. And the next morning, I'll be leaving with Abby to move her to Beaufort, South Carolina. Move her down there that day, and then jump back in the truck and hightail it back up here on Saturday. Be back here for church on Sunday. And on my way back, I'm going to stop to see Mr. Ben Strickland and Mr. Matt Hobbs and his new bride on my way back through. So I'll have a very, very busy week next week and the week after. But if I'm around, man, I would love to catch up with you. Love to catch up. Bill says, my stepdad did the same. Eric says, I share your sentiment. Bobby, yeah, I think of all the time God let someone in, and they have all failed him. Every single one of them let him down. Yeah. People say, suck life out of me. What's wrong? With felt that with his beard. Yep. Right on, man. You're nailing it. You're absolutely nailing it. Look! Ah! Ben Strickland's been hiding in the corner here. Oh, Pete Fields. I wonder who that guy was. Ben Strickland. I'll try to convince my wife to take a detour. Excellent. Excellent. So I will be back, and then the 30th I have my surgery for skin cancer. So we'll see from there. Forge, not ranch, don't matter. All of it fits. It's okay. Ben, I'll be seeing you soon, man. That'll be Saturday the 26th. But I'll be coming through. If you're listening. Mr. Peachill says, I met this young preacher one time who, for whatever reason, took a liking to me. I've been for ever since. Well, I want to meet that fella. I do. I want to meet that guy. Sorry, all the good rules. Yeah, entering a little side trip on the GPS there. Jeff Woodard says 729, he gets a new knee. And then I think shortly thereafter, Mr. Bobby Lawless is getting himself a new knee as well. Is that right, Bobby? Bobby getting a new knee. Jeff getting a new knee. Jeff Killian's got a new knee. How about that? Get you guys all healed up so the gathering is 100%. Any news on a vacation this year? We'll talk. We'll talk later. I'll be in touch, Kyle. Love you, brother. Yeah, I guess the Bionic Jeffs. We can call them that now. Jeff Killian's got a new knee, maybe a hip, and Jeff Woodring's got, yes, 2 hips, 2 knees. So the Bionic Jeffs will be in here. But anyway, well, I think I just got it. Oh. Mom's texting me while this is going on. Like, I'm here, Mom. I'll be right there. Jeff Moore. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I'll be in to see Mr. Ben. And then it'll be real quick, buddy, because I'll have to be back Saturday night on my way through. So we're moving. I get back Thursday evening. He says he got a heck of a group, but I think I'm gonna hang with my original niece for a while before I joined the club. Yeah, buddy. Keep on to him, man. Yeah, they ought to be able to put like dirt fittings in those for some reason. I don't understand why they can't just keep them moved up pretty good. But anywho, yeah, I'll be leaving from Hammer. Take care, man. Take care, brother. Uh, yes, and get a hold of me, man. If you are going to be in the area, I'd love to catch up with you. So I'll have Mike's funeral is Friday the 18th. I think I have anything on the 19th and the 20th. I kick off the camp. 24th, I get back from camp at night and take off the 25th from South Carolina, come back the 26th from South Carolina, church on the 27th, surgery on the 30th, and then the following week, like 6th, 7th, and 8th anyway, is Ohio Valley Antique Machinery Show. So between now and the machinery show, we may only have 1 or 2 lives here, unless Eli's doing it. But we'll be live from the machinery show. And hopefully we'll be able to have some other videos. If you guys haven't already, go check out some of the videos we've got going on. Eli did an upgrade to our plasma table. We got a machine torch. By the way, Primewell, if you guys ever consider welder, torch, plasma, any of that stuff, please check out Primewell. And I will say this, not only are they good tools, their customer support, I cannot tell you any other organization that has ever had better customer support. And I mean that, hands down. Hands down. Their customer support. You call, you talk to a Jersey guy, you talk to a dude from New Jersey, right there, they will all walk you right through whatever you need. If you need anything, they'll troubleshoot it. If they need to send you parts, they send you parts. Like, we sent in our plasma cutter, we made up a box and sent it to them. And I think the day we sent it to the day it came back fixed was 4 days in New Jersey. 4 days, there and back, and it was fixed. And it was in a brand new box. And when I say brand new box, the Primewell boxes, it's crazy. I mean, it's like closed cell phone, metal corner protectors. I mean, this thing is hermetically sealed. It's just unbelievable what they do. And the price is actually pretty good. I just looked at their TIG 225, the TIG 325. We've been thinking about getting a TIG welder specifically. My OmniPro will do TIG, but I want a dedicated TIG welder. And the price for like the Vulcan Pro TIG is more than the Primewell 225. 225 is I think just over 1,000. 225 is a great machine. Yeah, and they sell coolers, so you could go all. That's right. Mason Gerald fucking live in the porch. Yeah, you could do the intercooler, which means your duty cycle is infinite if you're doing TIG welding, which means also that if you decide to go with a induction forge, you could use their cooler on an induction forge. Dude, I'm telling you, Primewell, I'm all in. I'm all in on Primewell. And I love my Vulcan and titanium welder. I love those two machines. I don't have to go for Miller. I had Lincoln. I would put the Vulcan up against the Lincoln any day of the week. I've not had a brand new Lincoln for about 12 years, but yeah, absolutely. Do they have a TIG? Because I'm looking for one right now. Primewell has, it's called the TIG 225, 225X, and then there's a 325. 325 is a newer one. And the guys that have done the reviews on 325, like certain things about it, but they've been using the 225 for so long, they're kind of just, they really like the 225. There's not a huge, the 225 to 325, it's not a huge difference. It's just some bells and whistles, but I, Prime Weld TIG 225, I think is what it's called. Hopefully it's not like that. But yeah, I would, if you're thinking about multi-process welders, MIG welders, plasma cutters, your plasma forgers, TIG welders, anything welding related, I would not hesitate to go get Prime Weld, without a doubt. Now, granted, I'm not an everyday professional welder, but to me, that's more of an indicator that unless you are an everyday professional welder, you already know what you're looking for. You already know what the standards are. So if you're looking to get into welding or you're looking to upgrade your welding, find somebody who doesn't do it every day but raves about a machine. I'm telling you right now, without a doubt, Prime Weld is it. Without a doubt. Again, I did, and I think Bobby's got a. You've got the Omni Pro Vulcan, right? The Vulcan Omni Pro, and you like it. It's a great machine. If I were to go back, I don't know because I can still stick weld with the Omni Pro. Yeah, I can still stick weld with the Omni Pro, and it would do AC/DC, so great machine there. But I primarily MIG weld with the Omni Pro because I was thinking, well, if I went back, I would probably just get the TIG or the MIG Vulcan. But knowing that I can actually switch over and stick weld if I need to, never mind. But now that you can go get a Prime Weld TIG, and I think it's like 800, 888 or something like that, which that's the Harbor Freight Vulcan Pro TIG, I think is the Big Max 220. That's a heck of a machine. But yeah, I think you can get the Prime Weld 225 or the Vulcan Pro TIG 220 or whatever it is, almost identical in price. I'd get Prime Weld. Not that I would go against the Vulcan because I think it's great, it's good stuff. I don't know. If I were throwing down hundreds of feet a day, there's some things I would probably change about the Vulcan, but I can buy almost 4 Vulcan Omni Pros for the price of the same miller. Do I get 4 times the machine? I don't think so. Hey, guess what? It's 7:52. You guys have sat here and listened to me for an hour and a half. Hopefully next week we will get back to working on the project because I only got a couple months for quad stick. Got to get it done. Create the project rolling. We're going to end the evening by another anvil ring for Mike. Again, guys, please take my encouragement. Please take my challenge to be encouraging to people and go get in touch with people you haven't been in touch with for a while. Call them up. You've got a buddy who haven't smith with for a while or haven't talked to for a while. Call them up, text them, go see them, whatever. So we're going to end this evening on an anvil ring, and then we will see you guys on the next one. God bless you guys. I love y'all. Love y'all. Love y'all so much. Take care. It's good. God bless you, Mike. Love you, buddy. Bye.